Galnet News Digest, 20th of May, 3307. We read the news so you don't have to.
In this week's news, Free Apex crime scandal.
Humanity 8, Thargoids 2.
Apex deals blow to shipless beagle challenge.
Double blow to fleet carriers.
The Galactic Police Forces have clarified some of the rules surrounding crime and death in the galaxy. Kill warrant scanners can now detect criminal commanders on board a ship. If this happens, it makes the ship and all its modules wanted in that jurisdiction, allowing the scanning ship to claim bounties after a successful kill. If a commander is killed and their bounty claimed, the next thing they know will be waking up in a detention centre. What happens next depends on what happened to their ship. If their ship was destroyed and the commander pays for the rebuy, they'll have their ship, clean and lovely, waiting for them to take the helm. If for any reason the commander does not pay for their ship rebuy, they'll get offered the choice of a free Sidewinder or a free Apex shuttle for their onward convenience, leading to claims that the penal authorities are being far too lenient on criminals. If the commander's ship was not destroyed, the prison authorities will transport it at taxpayers' expense to the detention centre. If the ship is clean, the newly revived ex-criminal commander can fly off in it. However, if the ship was hot, it'll be impounded. In fact, all hot ships the detained commander owns will be impounded at their existing locations. The commander will not be able to transfer or use them until they've paid a release fee to have the secured docking clamps removed. The Confederation of Grumbling Taxpayers has described the free Sidewinder, the free Apex shuttle and the free transportation of clean ships belonging to detained criminals to the detention centre as shocking, describing it as a slap in the face to honest taxpayers everywhere. And they've demanded that someone ought to do something about it.
The fires have been put out in 8 out of 10 starports, only a week after they were attacked and damaged by Thargoids. California Freeport, Artemis Lodge, Corrigan Terminal, Selene Orbital, Donars Oak, Bering Port, Betancourt Base and Cole Point have all been evacuated and made safe, and are now ready for the repair effort to begin. Organisations such as Operation Ida are likely to make short work of shipping in materials, although the temporary ban on fleet carrier movements may have some impact on their operations. Only Ark's Faith in the Pleiades and Arkondelane's Fort Zeno in the Coalsack Nebula are still left needing workers and inhabitants evacuated. The Thargoids haven't gone away though. They are still fighting any ship brave enough to take them on, with the Thargoid presence remaining relatively high in several of the systems. There's a massive Thargoid presence in Coalsack Sector VU-O B6-6 and Coalsack Sector KN-S B4-9, and a moderate or significant Thargoid presence in 5 of the other systems. The Thargoids have been eliminated in only 2 systems, Seleno and Muscadart Region PJ-P B6-1, with HR 1183 expected to become a Thargoid-free zone in the next 24 hours. The theory is the space aliens were upset at both the Alliance's expansion into traditional Thargoid territory and the Aegis initiative to develop new anti-Xeno weapons using Guardian technology that was recently harvested from a selection of ancient ruins and currently stored in the Delphi system, which Galnet Delphically refers to as Pleiades Sector IR-W D1-55. There is no word about whether the Thargoids managed to destroy these research samples.
The galactic record for the first person to Beagle Point without a ship has been dealt a blow, after Apex Interstellar explained that they won't go north of Sagittarius A star at this time of night. The Galactic Cab Drivers Union apparently stipulates that no cab shall be permitted to travel more than 2,000 light-years from its home port, meaning that there are substantial chunks of the galaxy that are off-limits to explorers who can't afford their own spaceship. But it's not entirely curtains for galactic hitchhikers. If you can team up with someone willing to fly you across the galaxy, or take a series of shorter rides stopping off to camp out under the starry sky on planets along the way, it's still possible to get to Beagle Point without ever owning a ship of your own. If only you can evade the dreaded Braben Tunnel, which sometimes inexplicably transports you back to wherever you were just before you got this ride, from a helpful Type 9 pilot who just happened to be going your way.
Fleet carrier owners have been stung by bad news twice in the space of 24 hours. The galactic authorities have temporarily banned all movements of fleet carriers, and the maintenance fee for these newly static personal starports has nearly doubled. The cost of running fleet carriers was brought down dramatically shortly after their introduction, following an outcry from new and prospective owners at a time when the availability, price and efficiency of tritium was also a major concern. Now, suddenly and without warning, the price has gone back up to nearly pre-riot levels. Disgruntled owners have pointed out that you don't get anything extra for the additional charge. You don't get a bridge to strut around on self-importantly. You don't get a bar area where you can meet up with other commanders and lunge, nod or squat during the enforced 20 minutes of idleness when the coordinates have been locked in and all you have to do is wait. And you don't get a viewport through which you can watch the spectacular jump sequence as the fleet carrier travels through the rift in space-time to its preset destination. But as it happens, a bridge, a bar area, and especially a viewport wouldn't be much use at the moment, as the Pilots Federation has banned all fleet carrier movements after becoming concerned that all those little tears in space-time might be turning into one massive rent through which planets might fall, or perhaps out of which might come creatures from another dimension. There has been talk of the galaxy appearing to freeze repeatedly, like a movie running at a very low frame rate, and of a plague of taupe adders. However, a spokesperson for the Pilots Federation insisted that everything was under control, adding that everything is totally normal, and that everyone should don't worrying, before cackling wildly and heading off back to the hamster farm, muttering, "I'll be back." In the unlikely occurrence of a planet dropping through a rent in space-time, the Pilots Federation have put out a request for names for the planet and have offered a goldfish bowl with a bonsai brain tree in as a reward for a commander whose planet name they will pick, they say, possibly randomly. I've not entered myself yet, but I'm considering something involving the colour taupe.
And that's this week's Galnet News. Galnet News, we read the news, so you don't have to.
I know, Utopia. Utopia. That's so good. You can't have it, that's my entry.
The Lave Radio Project was our last best hope for news. A self-contained podcast 2 hours long, located in neutral territory. A place of nonsense and innuendo for forum dads, community members and developers. A shining beacon in space, all alone on a Tuesday night. It was the dawn of the third chapter of Elite. The year's space legs came upon us all. This is the story of the last of the Lavian stations. The year is 3307. The name of the place? Lave Radio.
Greetings, Commanders, and welcome to episode 343 of Lave Radio, the show that likes to talk about the universe of Elite and the fantastic community that surrounds it. I'm your host, Commander Phoenix Defire, Chief Archivist of Lave Station, otherwise known as Colin Ford, and joining me in the orange Sidewinder bar for this episode, we have, of course, our Head of Health and Safety, Commander Edelweiss, otherwise known as Ben Moss-Woodward.
Have you got your towel, Colin?
I do have my towel. Because I am a sassy fruit who knows where my towel is. And also, we have our Inhuman Resources Director, Commander Shan.
Hello.
Have you got your towel?
I don't need a towel. I have a blow dryer.
No, he's no good. He'd be left behind on the dissolving earth. Our staff liaison officer, Commander Psychic, is at the moment doing a charity stream and hopefully will be joining us later. But for the moment, it's just the three of us. If you wish to join us, we are live. We are hanging out in game. And Ben, where are we? Because it's somewhere special.
I am at Lave Radio Broadcasting House, which is a convenient hop, skip, and a jump away from the Lave system in the HIP 20524 system. Now it's only a mild 200-ish light years away from Lave, so just a quick commute.
So,
Yeah.
so basically, when deciding where to put our station, Frontier had a picture of the bubble on a dartboard and threw a dart, and it ended up here.
Well, I like to think of it as a kind of redistribution to help with the broadcast signal that's going out over the galaxy. It's now coming from both Lave Station, the Lave, the Orange Sidewinder Bar, and from Broadcasting House.
That works. But it's a nice, pretty outpost we're at, with a beautiful yellow atmosphere.
Cool.
And by yellow, I mean kind of like either mustard yellow or diarrhea yellow. I'm not quite sure which.
Yeah,
I guess
mustard
it could be like the BBC. So I guess it could be like the BBC broadcasting house, completely redundant and unused.
It's fairly happening here, actually.
See, the thing is, there was me thinking I was making a nice picturesque view, and he says, mustard, okay, I can handle mustard. And then you went with diarrhea. I thought, oh,
It is
typical.
baby poo yellow, isn't it?
Yes.
And people were complaining that all they were seeing was blue skies.
We could go for a chicken korma yellow. Fake chicken korma yellow.
Oh, so ready meal korma yellow. Is that what you're after?
That could work, I suppose.
Oh, lovely. So if you wish, you can join Ben at Lave Radio Broadcasting House. If you can't join him, you can always join in the Twitch chat channel, which you can access through laveradio.com/live. Click on the live chat, or go straight to twitch.tv/laveradio, or go to Lave Radio on YouTube, or go to Lave Radio on Facebook. We're managing all three. So we'll just quickly go around the team, see what they've been up to for the last week, and yeah, we'll start with Ben.
Okay, so I know we're going to go into things more in a bit, but I've had a very mixed week. I've tried to play some Elite. I have played some Star Citizen. I have played some Sea of Thieves. I have played some Minecraft. And I think eventually I actually managed to play some Elite on Monday.
Right. So it's been a bit of a frustrating gaming week for you then.
My experiences in Star Citizen and Minecraft were great. In Sea of Thieves, I got ganked to high heaven, and that was very, very frustrating. And I had the Rainbow Cobra effect, I suppose we could say, in Elite.
Yes, that has been a talking point which we'll get to later. Right, Shan.
Well, in game, I have done absolutely nothing at all because I wanted to take a step away from the game to make sure I got my feelings in order and just basically step away from the keyboard for it. In real life, at the weekend, we saw some friends of ours. We stayed around their house, yay! And it's the first time we'd actually seen them in person for over 15 months. So it was a great time that weekend. And today I claimed a victory over Transport for London, so I'm feeling even better.
You claimed victory. Did they say you were in the no parking zone
No,
for when
no,
you were?
no. What happened was youngest Minishan had taken his car into London
Mhm.
to visit his soldier mates in Kensington, and we'd registered the car as pay on entry, the congestion
Mhm.
charge, and they sent me a penalty notice through saying, "Oh, we haven't paid your congestion charge," blah blah blah. And so I thought, hang on a minute, I registered it as a prepayment. How come you're doing that? So I
Yeah,
phoned them up, and it turns out there was a bug in their system, so that although it said it'd been registered and you can't change it because it's been registered with the message,
yeah.
it hadn't actually infiltrated through to the rest of their system. So they wanted to find me 80 quid. So
Uh,
I said, "Oi, I'm not paying because your system goofed." And they sent back a message today saying, "Oh, your fine has been cancelled." So I thought,
ah,
yes.
excellent. That's what you want. A win over the parking people.
Well, it
Right.
does go to show that you shouldn't be a sheep and just pay the fine. You should do some digging.
Well, let's see. What have I been up to? Well, I've had a little bit more luck uh, with Odyssey than I think most people have, and I guess we'll go into those kind of experiences that I've been having later. In the meantime, it's been the usual work, um, rest, play. Did play a bit of Final Fantasy 15 over the week for a couple of hours over the weekend, just for a nice bit of monster bashing. But apart from that, that's been about it. So,
Colin, sorry, I think you are the Jose Mourinho of Odyssey because you are the special one.
I'm not the only special one.
Well,
There
neither,
is.
neither is Jose Mourinho, but anyway.
Yeah. Let's cut to the chase. The development news. Well, what's had been happening this week? Well, obviously on Wednesday, Odyssey was launched very late in the day, and to say that it's been a rough release is a bit of an understatement. Um, Well, for myself, as I've already said, things did seem to work quite well. For the vast majority of people, it didn't. And up to this point, it's got so bad that David Braben has not only put out one statement about the present situation with Odyssey, but two. And I do believe we have, as read by Commander Beetlejude, his latest statement.
Greetings, Commanders. Here's a further update on where we are with Odyssey, and to keep you updated on our progress and our investigations, and talk a little about our next steps. This will be a long post, but please bear with me. Firstly, once again, I apologise for the experience many players have had running Odyssey, particularly the server issues and disconnects. Despite careful server spooling up, anticipating significant demand, they were still overloaded. After a good deal of investigation, the main cause of this proved to be to do with fleet carriers and the systems they use. I'll try to explain the gist of what the problem was, how we found it, and why it didn't show during the public alpha. The whole team are working incredibly hard to resolve the issues as quickly as possible and improve players' experiences, and this is part of that process. As you probably know, we split Horizons and Odyssey into two sets of servers, with a plan to keep it that way until we ship Odyssey on console. Fleet carriers exist in both worlds, and when a fleet carrier jumps, this, and all the players on board, are kept in sync between the two galaxies. Due to a bug with them, significant amounts of data were going back and forth between the two worlds unnecessarily, and this loop between the two sets of servers simply mounted up and started bringing servers down or blocking them, resulting in many players getting disconnect errors. This is why we stopped fleet carriers jumping, and immediately we saw a significant improvement overall. There were other issues too with this subsystem, keeping the BGS and other things in sync between the worlds. Once we had a solid fix for the fleet carrier and sync issues, we deployed it to the servers and re-enabled fleet carriers jumping. This was compounded by the fact we had a record number of concurrent players, so the servers were already working hard. Initially, we thought this was the effect we were seeing, that the high number of players was the main issue. But eventually some very smart people determined what was happening with fleet carriers. Turning to the subject of performance. First of all, I'd like to provide some background. When we first set the minimum specs for Elite Dangerous back at the time of the Kickstarter in 2012, we made the assumption that for low-spec machines the game was playable as long as the frame rate was over 30 FPS, with 60 FPS for higher spec machines. Over the subsequent weeks and months after release in 2014, we optimised the game significantly. We had a similar thought process for Odyssey, especially considering that the lower spec machines would tend to be 5 years old or more, or be laptops. That 30 FPS would be acceptable as a minimum spec performance. Separately, we've heard reports of very high spec machines failing to perform as expected. We believe this is a different issue, possibly CPU related, and we're looking into that too as we speak. We will get to the bottom of the performance issues, particularly with the support of the community who were already providing useful information. Elite has always been about scale and ambition. With this latest and biggest expansion, the team have taken on an amazing challenge. The whole galaxy in 1-to-1 scale, now down to the millimetre. Millions of players interacting with each other and many millions of AI game characters on billions of worlds, all orbiting around each other in an incredibly rich galaxy-wide ballet. I truly believe the team have created a milestone in modern video game history. This is not a static arena shooter where all the players join in at the start, but where players are continually joining, leaving, travelling between servers, alone and in groups, and so many other things. It's a real shame this incredible achievement is somewhat overshadowed by the issues we've been seeing. We remain committed to improving everyone's experience. In the words of JFK, we choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. So, what are we doing to fix the issues? As mentioned above, the team have been working incredibly hard to support and fix critical issues. They've already made good progress with 3 hotfixes and many server tweaks too, but we can see there's still more to come. Disconnects are now greatly reduced despite record concurrent player numbers. As already explained, the performance issues may take a little longer to resolve, and we greatly appreciate your patience. Our plan is to publish a roadmap by the 4th of June as we continue to push forward addressing issues, including giving some details on specific improvements, building upon the fixes the team have already made. Thank you, and my apologies again for the bumpy start to Odyssey. Blue Cobra, Commander.
So there we have the statement from David Braben, written, sort of read out, very lovely, I thought, by Commander Beetlejude. Ben, Shan, what's your responses to this?
You want to go
I'll
first, or
say.
shall I, Shan?
Oh, you go first.
Okay. I think it's lovely hearing from David, both this statement and the one on Friday. It's very nice to hear that there's going to be some kind of a roadmap. And combining this, or these statements, with the statements from what Arthur was saying on some of the recent live streams that he's been on, makes me feel and know that David is very much at the helm of Elite Dangerous and Frontier. And this is him coming out and letting us know everything's going to be okay.
Right, okay. Shan?
Can you see that horse galloping away down the valley with the stable door open? Yes, it's appreciated, David, actually giving some more detail in it. But my kind of feel is it's almost too little, too late in a way. I guess I know I feel bitter and twisted about it, but it kind of reads like it doesn't really come across as thinking about the roadmap. People were calling for a roadmap even before it came out. People were asking for, "Can you tell us what this?" It's saying, "Oh, we're going to do all this after the event." Now it's got things have gone wrong. There's issues we didn't quite expect, and by the way, this is what we're going to do about it. Fair enough, but these are all issues that were predictable beforehand, and people, including people on this show and other live streams, were pleading with Frontier, saying, "Look, what about this? What about this? What about this?" And only now, when the thing has got a 30% approval rating on Steam, do they pop up and do something about it? Yeah, sorry, I'm on a rant again. I'll stop.
Yep. We have a special section for Shan later in the show. I wonder how this one's going to go. Well, obviously they had Super Cruise News number 34 today, where they announced, yeah, we've had this is
I
the
was going to say,
uh,
Colin, do you have any feelings on this?
do I have any feelings on this?
Yeah, it's
Actually,
not often that David says things.
I do feel that in this case, Shan is kind of right. And this comes from the point of view that I mean, I'm one of the lucky ones where I haven't had a lot of the issues that people have been hit with, and there's a lot of stuff that we highlighted in the alpha, and they just didn't seem to pick up on it or even acknowledge it. I mean, this is the thing, because my gameplay experience has actually been quite good, and I do feel like I'm kicking when they're down, but for everybody else who's been upset that they can't play this game, yeah, I don't know whether or not that's going to be enough.
I mean, yeah, I mean, as Stephen Usher says, he kind of summed up what I think I said in Discord when the first one came out. He's in damage limitation mode, and
They're
it
all
kind
in,
of
they're all in
uh,
damage limitation.
and, and what it feels like, and what it feels like about the alpha process and all the feedback is, and all these suggestions people have offered all the over the years of Odyssey development, is they've taken all our feedback and all the suggestions and stuff like that, and they've alphabetized them, put little coloured tabs in a ring binder, and made sure that everything's all printed out and nice and neat. And they've taken this folder and set light to it.
Okay, Shan, and again, we will put that in the rant file for later. Ah, dear. Right. Yes. So, Super Cruise news today. They have announced that we've had our third hotfix today, and also we've got a major patch coming on Thursday. Now, they haven't given any details about what this patch has. Do you think that they've been turning these hotfixes around fast enough? Although I got a funny feeling I know that the answer is going to be on this one.
Well, they're suspiciously quick, aren't they? They're either working their teams super hard and not letting them sleep, or I don't know. Sorry, but yeah, they are working very fast on them.
Yeah, I think that might be because they've got a lot more data to work with, which will help them get to the answers quicker. That's just my opinion. But Ben, what do you think?
I think you're right. They are working the teams incredibly hard. I think we've had what three? Is it three hot fixes we've had now,
We've
and
had
then
three
a
hot, and server updates in the meantime as
yeah,
well.
and I think
One on a
I
Sunday.
think this yep, and I think this thing on Thursday is going to be a bigger patch.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I think it's a combination of yes, they're working incredibly hard. Yes, they're getting more information, more debugging. So I mean, I know Arthur was saying at some time on the evening, I think it was, that whilst he was giving an interview, he was also in a live. He was also in like 4 Discord or Microsoft Teams chats
Hmm.
with development teams who are busy working,
Yeah.
and this is over a weekend. Um, so yeah, they're working very hard to fix everything.
So in addition to this, they have now set up basically a UI feedback and an optimization performance feedback, basically pages for people to try and help resolve these situations. And from what I understood from what Arthur was saying is that they were having there's a lot of confusion to hang on, people with certain builds, PC builds, having performance problems, yet on their machines, which have very similar builds, it's working fine. Now, uh, obviously, the optimization is of an incredible sore point at the moment. Um, you think that these feedback forms are going to help?
They
Um,
can't hurt, can they?
well, it's a really good excuse to copy paste my feedback I gave in the alpha and put them in this thread. Yeah.
Yeah, but you've got to make sure that you're actually giving them the feedback they're asking for, and not just spewing, "This is everything I feel."
No, 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 no. Anyway. I just want to predicate, so I will change the subject a bit. That my comments are directed at the company, not the hardworking, wonderful people who do and work their heart out on this. Because, in spite of anything we say today, I think we're unified here in our appreciation of how hard work and how nice the developers are, and how much this must upset them given
Oh
how
yeah,
much work they put in and how they would be expecting oohs, ahs, and wows from the players looking at their work. So I just kind of I want to make sure that they understand what they do, how hard they work, really is appreciated in this.
Yeah. Right. Well, yeah, we have the optimization and performance section, which you send as much information to edioperformance at elitedangerous.com, and you use the template which will ask basically for the diag report, what you were doing in the game. Are you running Odyssey in borderless full screen or windowed? Odyssey in VR, any other apps running at the same time, and any third-party shader suits, in addition to the graphics options that you might have. Um, I mean, they're going to use this to analyze what the heck's happening with the renderers at the moment, because I think it's well acknowledged that there is something up, and for some reason the testing didn't catch it when it should have done.
Didn't someone do an analysis of the engine and found out it wasn't culling properly or something?
Yes, we've got that listed later on in the show notes, Shan. So yeah. So what we've got here. Oh yes, we have also they are asking for feedback on specific bits of UI. Now, one of the most controversial, not the most controversial, because we'll probably come on to that, but one of the most controversial bits of UI is basically the new Galaxy Map System map. So they're asking for feedback about this in particular, and later they'll be covering newer things, other things such as the outfitting. Sorry, that's my bugbear, but we'll move past that for the moment. So if you could, there is a thread on the forums where you could, if you leave your overall thoughts, the specific issues that you've got with the UI, and suggested fixes for those issues, then they would appreciate the honest feedback. I,
It's
yeah,
yeah, it's kind of interesting that explorers are going into Horizons to map their courses and do neutron jumps and stuff like that, and only going into Odyssey when they want to land, isn't it? Because of the UI.
yeah. I mean, the UI itself I found bearable as far as the maps are concerned. But I am using a mouse in order to do all this. If you are using the hot ass, say for instance you're in VR, it's a lot more clicky in order to get what we used to do, and it doesn't supply the same functionality, which is yeah.
Well, basically, my feedback on UI is what they've done is they've taken Windows 7 and turned it into Windows 8.
Ooh, that's horrible. That's a horrible thing to say. Ben, what's your opinion on the call for UI feedback?
It's needed badly. I did actually put some feedback in there, not raising the what I would call the user experience thing, but actually, you know, this is some stuff that's actually missing now, guys. It's like, the key thing that's missing for me is I've got a bazillion bookmarks. So if I want to say jump directly to Lave Station in Horizons, I just say go to my bookmark and then go a lot. I think it's a long two or something like that, and I'm in route plan, and that takes me all the way to Lave Station. Awesome. In Odyssey, I can go to my bookmark, which is in Frontier's designation of folders as opposed to what I would like, but that's another story.
Hmm.
I then choose please navigate to here on the right hand list of icons, and it takes me to Lave, not the station.
Yes, that is one of the issues that I've highlighted as well.
Yeah.
It can,
Um,
yeah.
What one thing I think is also missing from the UI and things is the detail and stats of things. I mean, I know you will go into the outfitting one later, but I'm particularly thinking about the hand weapons and the upgrades, and just no detail. You've got no idea what stuff does. You can't see whether the modification you're looking at will improve what you're trying to do. You know how, like in the existing UI, if you apply an engineering upgrade or you're going to change a module, it tells you what the effect on jump range or power or whatever was going to be. None of that is in there anymore.
Yeah. Right. So, we're moving on from um, obviously the feedback section. Again, today they clarified the new feedback. Um, where were they? They were in Any Systems, Blanchett's Vice, which was a nice looking settlement. I had to
it
sign
looked
out.
very pretty, that place.
Yeah. I mean, looking through the hot fixes that we've had, all three of them, they've probably followed the same kind of pattern. It's a lot of work, basically working on trying to do general stabilities, further fixes for the orange sidewinders. I mean, I must admit the Cobra error messages did a number on my Steam Commander. I didn't. This is one of the weird things I had. My Frontier account was absolutely fine. I had not a single problem with either the frame rate or the connectivity. My Steam alternative account, on the other hand, that had real connection problems. And, it's running the same hardware. Go figure. Ben.
The hotfixes.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, as I said earlier, the guys are working bloody hard to do a bazillion things to try to fix things. I mean, as David highlighted in his post, they, you know, they were being swamped by back end messages about the fleet carriers, which is why they got nuked.
Hmm.
And they've identified and resolved that issue now, which is why they've turned back on again. And they're concentrating on get us all in game first, get us so we can actually play. Then, I mean, to quote a former software architect of mine, make it run, make it right, make it fast.
Yes, that's
And they need to
refactor,
make it run
refactor,
first.
refactor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Excuse me. In other news, there was actually a financial report from, was it Liberium? Now, aren't these guys the financial house that handles most of Frontier's stock
Yes, yes,
information?
they are.
Yeah, well, they put out a statement about the present state of Odyssey, which reads, "Last week we saw the PC release of Odyssey, the latest major expansion in the Elite Dangerous franchise. Although players suffered server connectivity issues in the first few days, we understand that many of these problems have now been resolved. Despite the challenges, player numbers have been relatively strong, at record levels for Elite Dangerous, as would be expected. While additional concerns around the game's optimizations may take longer to fix, Frontier are working hard on resolving these through regular updates and to ensure the player experience improves. We have no doubt that Elite will remain a successful multi-year franchise going forwards, as the company maintains its launch and mature approach to creating long-lasting games. We will keep our forecasts and target price unchanged." And it says full version behind a paywall. Does anyone know what the full version behind the paywall statement was?
Lol.
No, because it's behind a paywall.
Yeah,
Oh
the
yeah,
full
yeah,
version
right.
just said LOL at the end.
Got you. Well, there's a couple of things to take away from that, to be honest. The first thing is, yes, record player numbers. I must admit that when I did compare Steam charts, yeah, it was breaking records, and those numbers of players have stayed relatively stable, um, via Steam at least. And Elite Dangerous at the moment is running twice as high as No Man's Sky. It's what I would consider its closest rival. Um, so something must be working, right?
Well, it's only been a week. There's got to come a crunch point, I think, when either people who are saying, okay, I can enjoy this now, or I got so completely fed up, I'm going to stop. And I don't know if a week is long enough for most people to decide which way they're going to jump.
Oh, I think there's a lot of people who've already decided already. If you want to talk about Steam reviews,
I'm being
yes,
nice. I'm being neutral. I'm being nice.
and you got a point on finance.
Yeah, again, I read a lot of financial statements and stuff like that, and it's almost looked like a pre-prepared one written, perhaps by Frontier, because it just seems to gloss over the general disquiet that we read about. It's almost like, yeah, don't worry about that. It's all fine. Don't worry. It's almost like the band playing as the ship sinks or starts to sink. So I don't know. I think it's statement is more for investors and the market than it is for players.
Mm, yeah, but there is something about the player numbers, though. Even in Steam charts now, it's still above 25,000. That's higher than it's ever been. And I would have thought if this had been such the train wreck that a lot of the commentators are saying, those player numbers would have died off back down to under the 9,000 mark.
Not over 9,000. If if I was being cynical about it, I would say that there's been reports that getting a refund from Steam for this is quite difficult because what it does is it takes the hours you played in Elite, not the hours you played in Odyssey. So, uh, being a bit cynical, you could say, well, the people who are showing us player numbers haven't got their refund yet. But we'll see. Let's give it a couple of weeks and we'll revisit this, I think, because it's too early to tell, really.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Well, if we go back in time over the last week or so, on Monday they did the Commander's Creations section, which showed off a lot of people's creative works, including um, the fantastic 3D printed wall decorations. Did you see those?
By
Anthony Hunt.
Hunt. Yeah, Anthony.
Yeah. And Anthony Hunt, friend of the show, he does a lot of a lot of 3D printing. One of the things he's working on at the moment is a 3D Rimlock helmet, which I thought was absolutely fantastic. But yeah,
Oh,
um,
Anthony.
my friend who I visited on at the weekend, he'd sent me a 3D printed Cobra Mark III through the post a few months
Okay.
ago. And this week, he presented me with a 3D printed dodecahedron station from the original Elite. And above his dining table, he's got a original Elite Python, original Thargoid, a Coriolis, a Cobra. What else has he got? And he's just drawn up a original Mamba and a Fer-de-Lance to print out on his £20,000 work 3D
mm,
printer. So yeah, it's all cool.
yeah.
Is that
Um,
Anthony who's also done the Fifth Element 3D printings? Was that somebody else?
It probably someone else. I doubt it's my friend. 'Cause he keeps
Oh,
talents.
not your friend. Um, and
oh,
Anthony
Anthony
Hunt.
Hunt.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't know. We'll have to look up.
Somebody's done something. They looked absolutely amazing anyway. If you like Fifth Element, he's doing a great job on them.
Other things included a mining anaconda picture by Higher Churn. I apologize. There is a 3D printed Corvette by Lave, which has been painted as well. That looks very nice. Um, Also, we've had a support terminal work by Nick Webner 85. That's one of his art pieces from his Twitter account. Commander Beetlejude is featured again with a fantastic slideshow for all the work that she's done in May. And I do love these ones. The Ye Olde Elite Dangerous by Commander Zulu Romeo. And yeah, it's I think that's a bad one for seal clubbing there, isn't it? Or oh no, it's cutting a panel open from
Yeah, it was like ye
seal.
old panel is cut, ye old panel is down, or something.
Yeah, seal is broken, seal is open. Do you like the fact that they're doing these Commander Creations things?
I do. I think it's great that we're getting more of these things because the stellar screenshots are lovely, but the community does so much more than that, and it's nice to see that get highlighted.
I find them a bit of a morale boost, actually, because it's easy to get sucked into negativity. And yes, I know I've made some naughty comments today, but I do find this stuff that people comes up with and spend their time and creativity on. I do find them quite uplifting, mostly. because I could never do
Mm.
some of the stuff they do, and so I was like,
Oh,
wow,
well,
that's cool.
Yeah. Right. And going back then to Sunday, we had another hot fix, but this time it was server side. It was a fix for the horrible engineering materials issue. That was horrible.
Did they halve
Basically,
the amount you need?
no. What happened was that if you took a mission and you chose the material reward, instead of adding 5 or how many rewards you got to your material count, it would just replace it with 5. So you spent ages getting those 100 mats, and then all of a sudden you were now back down to 5. That was not good.
Happening.
So what happens if you had 0 of an item? Would it give you -5, or would it have an overflow and give you, I
No,
don't know,
it'd give you 5.
255?
It was
5
basically,
totally, regardless of whether it went. It didn't
yeah.
deduct
Yeah,
5, it just oh.
it's doing set value equals 5 rather than value equals value plus 5.
So that one was fixed. Friday, we had the first statement from David Braben, including an apology. And that was just before we got Hotfix 2. And I must admit, after Hotfix 2, that's when my Steam account actually stabilized. So whatever they did in Hotfix 2 was enough for my commander to my alternative commander to start exploring, which I'll come on to at a later point. Of course, before then we had Thursday late evening where they had Hotfix 1, and of course also on Thursday they had new details for the Odyssey BGS and crime details, as well as having the Odyssey live stream, which, let's just say, the way things were going, it was a kind of ominous because nothing seemed to work right at the very beginning.
Yeah, nothing seemed to work right. Again, it was lovely to hear from David.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
it
and
was nice hearing from all the other devs and things like that, all the devs and the davs. Um, so that was all. That was all good.
yeah. So, and on Wednesday we got the patch notes, which, yeah, everybody went through, I think, with a fine tooth comb. And yes, again, the patch notes themselves, if you actually copy them out into something like Notepad, um, and save the text file itself was bigger than the original Elite game. So it just goes to prove a lot has happened in 40 years. So unfortunately, because of the present state uh, of Odyssey, this has started to filter back through into the press itself. Eurogamer have gone with unhappy players review bomb Elite Dangerous Odyssey, and PC Gamer have gone players in uproar over Elite Dangerous Odyssey's bugs and poor performance. It must be said that other outlets are picking up on this as well, including Massively OP and a couple of other websites. It and of course we're going to have to touch on the state of play in Steam at the moment. So far, 3,000 reviews, almost 4,000 reviews, and it's down to about 30% approval.
Can I just say, yeah, I read through those earlier on today, and to be fair, any review of a player under about 200 hours, I tend to completely ignore.
Um, I mean, this is one thing that I do have a little bit of a bugbear about the reviews. Um, yeah, it does. How shall I put this without trying to offend other people's feelings? And I did get the feeling that people were just itching, ready to put the boot in.
I think some people were, and I think some people were very knee-jerk reaction. Now, Frontier could have easily fixed this problem, I think, by, as a lot of people, including ourselves, including Shan, um, that's implying Shan's not one of us. You know what I mean there. Yeah. Well, Shan's playing Miss Negative today, and I'm actually feeling rather positive at the moment for some
No, I'm
weird
not.
reason.
No, I'm not playing negative. I'm not playing a
No,
negative. I'm just
Shan,
expressing how
you're
I
being
feel.
defensive now.
I'm right.
Um, Shan. So
Yeah,
I
I'm on.
think there are
Okay,
some
good.
people who were very, very quick to get, oh my god, everything sucks, it's so bad, and not getting a chance to let things bed down. Um, if I ask Shan what the state of, say, Guild Wars 2 was like after the state of some of its major patches, were they rock solid or were they the world was on fire?
There was only
And
one World was on fire patch, and that was when ArenaNet went back on their promise about a certain level of gear power. And they went back on that after telling everyone for years and years and years, this is the most power you'll be able to get from your gear. 3 months after release, you could get gear with more power, and that caused huge outrage because they'd broken a promise. All the other ones, I mean, there's the odd issue, but nothing on this level.
yeah, but I think it's safe and fair to say that the majority of online service games day one release is you're lucky if you can play the damn thing. And I know, from World of Warcraft's Burning Crusade expansion, you were lucky to play the first week. Um, a Bethesda game, I generally won't buy a Bethesda game for 6 months to give them a chance to actually fix the thing.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, a lot of the anger that's in the forums um, and on Steam, it's basically to do with this very point: is that they want a working product straight on day one, which, in my opinion, that's should be the minimum.
Yeah, I'm not
And
going to say it's unreasonable, but it'll be a blooming miracle.
yeah, I mean, I mean, the amount of uh, MMO updates I've been through where everything just goes to fire for the first week and a half, I have lost count. Of course, the most notorious of these is what can only be described as the Star Wars um, NGE, which basically completely destroyed the game and put something in that was completely different. Now, I don't think, in this humble opinion, is that we are at NGE levels at the moment. But Ben,
Jonathan Tea Times just told me an even worse deployment. He's saying Evenline had a release which deleted some system files, config.sys as he remembers, which prevented XP at the time from even booting up.
wow, yeah,
Yeah, that's an
okay,
impressive.
that isn't. Surely they shouldn't allow a
Yeah,
game
that's
file.
that's a wow.
Ooh, that sounds more like a virus.
Although some bugs were amazingly fun from a patch. I mean, there's the famous World of Warcraft plague bug, wasn't there?
Oh, that was fantastic. Also, it allowed scientists to study the spread of a pandemic. I
I
wonder
wonder how
if that
much
kept.
just
Oh,
how.
that was in. I remember that one in WoW.
Well, did they try to give everyone herd immunity in World of Warcraft? Anyway, you talked about preparation for release, and yes, and I keep going on about it, but Guild Wars 2 had a really good system for handling load at launch. Is that because although it was server based, you had to log on to a server. What they did do is they brought in temporary servers, which you could at least play on while you waited for a gap to appear in the server you rolled on, and then when you joined the server you rolled on, it carried over your progress. So there was none of this sitting around for 6 hours trying to press login and getting timeouts. You could at least get on and play, and then you could then rejoin your proper server after the load went.
Yeah, but I mean, good grief, I remember sort of updates for, oh, good grief, I sound so old, for Matrix Online, which basically they were that bad. People just left the game. The player numbers went from, I think, a respectable 30,000 at the time to just above 5,000 after
Oh, I
one
mean,
bad patch. So
we've seen a bunch of people at least saying that they've uninstalled the game, including notables like oh, my brain's I'm having a brain fart. Does all the crashing into the planet and missing, who I did a quiz with the other day. Um, Primetime Casual.
oh right,
Yeah.
he's
You know, yeah, Primetime Casual's gone off and see you in 6 months, guys.
fair enough.
Yeah, so a
But
lot
he
of
does, that does
well-known
imply
people
that
have
he'll
done
be
that.
coming back, and he's just taking a break. But
Well, I don't think he's taking a break. I think he's cheesed off, and understandably and rightfully so, that from some people's perspective, Frontier consistently said everything is so much better than it was in the alpha.
hmm
There is so much more there,
hmm
and then we get release, barely a beta,
yeah,
and a
this
lot of
is
people are very upset about that.
yeah, so much so. How have they managed to do this? They've managed to tag Odyssey as early access in Steam.
It's a
I
user
don't.
tag, not an official tag, isn't it?
Oh right, okay.
That's a real thing, but yeah.
So a lot of people have tagged Odyssey as early access at the moment because they're that hacked off with it. Um, well, I mean, let's be honest. The performance issues, they have been an absolute kicker,
Oh god, yeah.
and yeah,
Um,
I'm flabbergasted at some of the respond well, not the responses, but some of the performance that I've seen on people's machines. I mean, um, Shan, just for uh, comparison's sake, how is have you managed to, first of all, run the game, and secondly, what performance are you kind of getting on your, was it 370?
Well, I've got a 3080,
Oh,
and
3080, of course, good.
yeah, it's running in 4K on a 5 gigahertz 77K. So I wouldn't call it CPU bound, if you're listening, David. Um, but I've been struggling to get 30 FPS um, in game
hmm
in a settlement. If I go to Horizons, if I go in space, it's perfectly fine. But I mean, for example, I can run Cyberpunk 2077 with all the bells and whistles and toys on in excess of a 60 FPS average.
mm
And I would call Cyberpunk a way more graphically demanding game than that. And it was interesting seeing what David was saying about they aimed for 30 FPS on minimum spec. But have you tried to play a FPS at 30 frames per second? Nah.
I've had no problem with it, to be honest, but I guess that's just me. Ben, what's how's your FPS doing on your machine then?
okay, so at the moment in the station with Commander Unscanned,
hmm
so Jathar Burrell, whoever, Stephen Usher, Nephilius, and I think somebody else is lurking around somewhere, and I am on a whopping 13 FPS at the moment inside the station. So that ain't so good. On the other hand, when I was outside driving around, I was around about 25 or so.
hmm
Um,
And what's the card that you've got at the moment?
I've only got a 970.
Oh, but you've got a 970.
I'm on a I'm on a 970. I've taken my graphics down. Oh, there's Miggles. He's here as well. I've taken my graphics down from 2560 by 1440
Hmm.
down to a 1080p. I've gone from high/ultra down to medium
So
just to
really,
try and do something.
what I should do is sell my 3080, buy a row of terraced houses in Manchester, and then buy a 970 to run Odyssey better.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, I've got a 1050 GeForce, and like I said, I've had reasonable performance. It's not as big, obviously, it's not as good as Horizons, but the fact that, like I said, I feel like I'm one of the lucky ones because I haven't had that kind of issues that everybody else has.
I mean,
Uh,
David did say he was running the game on a was that 980 or something. He was saying he was running it at.
yeah,
Oh,
which
yeah.
is, I mean, that's yours is better than that one, Ben, isn't it?
It's better than what?
A 980. Sorry, I've
No,
completely
the
forgotten what.
970 is worse. The
Oh,
970 is worse than the 980.
sorry,
Um,
I thought you were on a different one. I don't know why. I just had my
no,
brain trump myself.
and welcome Psychics and Psychics charity stream. Hi guys. So Stuart is saying his RX 570 is getting 30 to 40, and Jathar Burrell has got a 3070, lucky sod,
Yeah,
and he's getting 24 FPS with me at the moment.
yeah. So it is such a
Differences to
weird.
be made.
Yeah, it's just seems such a weird issue with the FPS. Now, Arf has been doing the rounds. We know that he has been on the flight assist with. Oh, could that be a Commander Psychic who
Look,
turned up?
wasn't it? Why are you here? I've been back at the other place, waiting for you all.
A wild psychic appears.
Blinking Nora, hi friends,
You've
how
been
you
at the bar,
doing?
haven't you?
I have. I've
Uh,
been
Yeah.
chatty.
Psychic, can you put a link to your charity donation page in the Twitch chat just so
I
people
can.
want?
I'm probably not allowed, and it will probably shut me up though.
No, I won't. No, it won't
Oh,
shut you up. I'll let you do it. Look, sorry, carry on
I
talking
shall
while.
do then.
Oh, so I see we've got Commander Jothrin. Oh, I can't make out their names properly there.
sorry.
So
Jathar Burrell.
yeah, so we've got at least 3 or 4 people with you at the moment, but it is a little bit.
I think there's 5 of us, yeah. But yeah, I should not be getting 15 FPS, put it that way.
Oh, ow. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I think that's the lovely. That's the challenge that they've got to face, isn't it? Because
Just turn the lights on.
But surely people, in fact, I know they didn't. They report the performance issues in alpha, and wouldn't that have like raised a red flag when in their detailed analysis of all the feedback?
I'm pretty sure everybody did, but as we said during the alpha, 2 weeks is
It was
to
longer than that.
identify and fix
it's
these.
4 weeks to the alpha. The 2
No,
weeks
but
was
the
between.
between times, yeah.
Yeah, I mean the thing was that during the alpha, I think the first and the second stages, it did seem to run like a dog, and then but 3 and 4, the performance seemed to improve a lot for me, and I must admit it improved a lot more when it finally got released, but that hasn't gone through to everybody else, which is.
Was this trunk, this branch that turned out to be the main trunk of the tree?
I don't think it is the main. This wasn't the main trunk of the tree because they have put in double the amount of settlement layouts since then, and that itself would be a lot more than they wouldn't have been able to put that based on the alpha. Right. Well, I'm just going to quickly jump over to Psychit, saying hello, dear, welcome.
Hello.
Glad you could make it. Now you've obviously had Arf on you with you and Mal
Yeah.
having a bit of a chat. So anything you'd like to comment on what's the situation is at the moment?
It's tricky, isn't it? It's that's the understatement of a century. It's I I feel really, really sorry for the CM team, the devs, and all of that who are working like dogs to try and get everything playable. Now that doesn't excuse the fact that a product that was released that isn't playable. However, it's not it's definitely not their fault. There's a link there that I just feel really sorry for the people who are having to deal with the angry people. Off did say that they did think that it was going to be perfect. They thought it was going to be a perfect release, which is a little blinkered. Especially given Frontier's past history.
Was that after drinking the onion head coffee from the machine?
Potentially so. Given what happened with I was expecting it to be great, but the BGS bugger. That was like my bar was when we're not going to have any BGS for like a week or so before that's all sorted. My bar wasn't okay. I'm going to go and do this stream that's been organized by someone and have 9 frames per second, and also at the same time be going and also at the same time really, really having loved the alpha and loved these ground missions in the alpha, sitting there and having 9 frames per second and going, this
What
is the most frustrating. Yeah, what happened between then and now, and seeing station interiors being fully rendered and all of that stuff, that everything that's coming through. I don't know how much you've covered already. I'm sorry if I'm
That's okay.
if I'm repeating stuff, but
We haven't said any of this. We're still on the development news.
No. We're
it's
going to go into that section later.
it's okay. Well, great. I shall hold my tongue until all of that happens. But
Yeah,
it's just
quickly,
very
Shan.
strange.
It is. Shan, do you want to quickly respond there?
I'm just getting up on my chair after what Psykit said about them being expecting a perfect launch and things, because quite clearly there is some huge communications gap or messaging gap or reality distortion field that is inside Frontier at the moment for that message to come through from the community and the players feeding back saying there's significant performance issues, there's this and this issue, we don't like the UI, etc. All the stuff that we've seen, and that feedback going in the last 4 weeks of beta,
Mhm.
and that's somehow then becoming, hey, it's going to be the best perfect launch ever. A reality distortion field is the only way I can describe it. I just
Right.
don't get how you can get that level of disconnect. But
Right. Okay, then we'll leave that and come back to it in a bit. I think that covers everything to do with the release that Frontier have sent to us. So we'll just quickly go over what the in-game events have been for the last week, if anybody else noticed them. On May the 20th, the Alliance candidates have announced their community drives, which are the community goals to influence the Alliance election. So if you want to help decide who is going to be in charge of the Alliance, then you run the community goals at the moment. On the 21st of May, Hadrian Duval's allocations were declared inconclusive. So it does look like it was a frame job and the Federation couldn't have attacked. Notice that they have said inconclusive, not vindicated. In alien news, the Thargoids are pursuing the Aegis megaship, which is carrying a whole load of Guardian relics. They seem to be attacking this megaship willy-nilly, and on top of that, the Federation are not allowing them to enter any federal system as it is attracting those Thargoids. That was announced on the 24th. However, also on the 24th, the Oracle station, Delphi station, it almost crashed into the planet. Delphi station has been attacked in the Thargoid attacks last week, and it was noted that its orbit was decaying and would impact on the planet's surface within 8 hours. However, it does seem that the orbit has stabilized, but intriguingly, we have heard from ARF that this was intended. I do believe they said that on your stream, wasn't that right, Frank?
Same interview, yeah. He what was I can't remember the exact wording, but it was along the lines of, I know why it happened.
Mm-hmm.
I know that it's something that's meant to be there, but it wasn't supposed to happen.
Is that
Something along those lines.
is that like the thing when you were a kid and you go, "Oh, I meant that." Nah.
I don't necessarily believe it to be that. I think that there is a mechanic there for it, but it wasn't the right time. That's what I took
Right.
took away
Right.
from the conversation anyway.
One observation about this plague ship story: if you've got something that's attracting Thargoids like wasps to a jam jar, why would you lead it into Federation space? Why wouldn't you just casually sort of move it out of the bubble and away sufficiently fast enough for Thargoid to chase after it? What you don't lead swarming wasps into your house. You lead them away from your house, don't you?
Speaking personally, I'd happily lead them to into Federation space.
Or Empire space, depending on which superpower you hate the most. Right. So that kind of brings us up to date. So I think it's time for a store alert.
Store alert!
In the bi-weekly newsletter, here come paint jobs for your art. In the bi-weekly newsletter, here come paint jobs for your art. A store alert, a store alert, a store alert, a store alert, a store alert. Which one will you buy? A store alert, 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 a store alert. Which one will you buy?
Did we actually have a store alert? I have the community letter, but I don't think we got a store alert, did we?
The store kind of came with the Odyssey release, didn't it?
Yeah. What they covered in the newsletter is obviously Sagittarius Eye Magazine number 36 has been released. That is also available as a podcast, which you can hear some familiar voices on discussing various in-game events in the galaxy. We have obviously they covered the touchdown video done by Commander Tokuso and performed by Heli. Of course, flight assists for Young Lives versus Cancer has been mentioned in that as well. And also mentioned the two competitions which are running at the moment, which are the Tobii Eye Tracker 5 and the Dream Gaming Setup. Did anybody else enter the Dream Gaming Setup? I know I've got about 7 or 8 entries on that one.
Yep.
I have to admit, I did enter it. Even though I don't like Gleam things, I did enter.
And of course, they did cover ARF on the Xbox using anti-Xeno combat. Did anyone see that? How did he actually do?
He did quite well, actually, I think.
Excellent. It's good to know that it's better than the last time we saw saw Stephen attempt to take on a Thargoid. That oh bless him.
Yeah, a comment on the store alert. There was a whole load of new suit skins and things like
Of
that.
course, yeah.
Yes.
A couple of comments on that. The first of all was a cowboy hat over a space helmet. Just looked weird. And 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 and, and secondly, do you feel they're reasonably priced for arcs?
Actually, you know what? I haven't even looked at them at the moment, so I'm going to look up them now.
I
Um,
do, only because they're so modular. Because you can put literally
Yeah.
half an arm on from one thing, or like it's so you can really differentiate and individualize based on what you have. So
Also,
it's
they're a lot more detailed, aren't they?
yeah, absolutely.
and one thing that we do have to point out, a lot of people did say that they were missing their Hollow Me clothes. It turns out that this functionality has been moved from Hollow Me itself to the actual customization option for your loadouts. So, yeah. Um, so just having a quick look through through these suit customizations, you got the Raider pack, the Peacekeeper pack. Yeah, I see what you mean about the hats.
Yeah. I mean, I've got. Am I wearing? I don't know if I'm wearing the hat at the moment. I have that set. It looks awesome, and you almost looks like. Oh, you know the Reavers from Mass Effect, Colin.
Yes.
You know your face when you've got that helmet on. It's almost like that. It's a really weird helmet you've got on. Plus a hat.
Yeah, I must admit, hatted helmets. I do see that they've gone for the fashionable face masks as well, just
Yeah.
to keep on going.
Well, just in
Yeah.
case there's space COVID about, you have to have a mask over your helmet.
Oh.
Yes,
And we have it, and we can wear a scarf.
yes, and they've fixed it apparently.
Oh, have they
It was
fixed it now? Okay.
yeah, they were block. It was blocking your
It
view.
was, yeah. I was talking to Alf about that on Twitter the other day.
Yeah, so for your 16,500 arcs, you would.
What's that in real money?
It depends on what you buy, isn't it?
What's 16 a bit? Well, how much per arc is it now? Do we know?
I'm just trying to look that up at the moment.
One thing that I think is very interesting while Colin does the math budget is they went back onto selling a pack rather than here
Individuals.
is the suit. Uh,
Is that,
I thought that was very interesting. They've got onto the
or is
three
that because
packs
the psychic?
rather
Is
than
that
the
because the
suit.
psychic said, you may want a blue arm and a red arm, or some variation in between, and by buying a pack, it gives you the freedom to mix and match and become a space tramp
I don't think it's
rather
because
than a space cowboy.
I don't think it's because Psychic said that, but you know,
Yeah, you are looking at approximately £9.59 for one of those packs. So it's about a tenner. So if you're willing to
that's
pay
£3 a suit,
£3.30,
basically.
yeah, if you're willing to pay £3 for a suit, or £3.30, three recurring for a suit, then yeah,
A 75p a limb.
75p on it.
And how much for your head?
But you get the torso and the head for free.
And who doesn't love getting the head for free?
Easy.
Oh, oh, we were doing so well. We were being serious. We were being objective.
Until Psychic joins, and then
Hey, Shan, don't you dare pin this shit on me.
I'm just, well, it must be coincidental then.
Fully coincidental.
Yeah. To remain
Yeah.
on topic, if the hat fits.
Stuart GT has done a bit of comparison. Meanwhile, for the F1 car and skins, or the Lamborghini and skins in Rocket League, they cost 20 quid.
Oof.
Yeah. So
Okay.
At least they're not $75 for a monocle, a space monocle.
oh,
What the hell's that from?
you
I
don't
don't
know about the monocle. Oh my god.
Or
what the
even
hell?
space horse
I,
armor.
Yeah, the in Eve, there was about, I think, they limited them to about 500, but there were 500 of these absolutely useless monocles that basically you could put in your character portrait, and that cost you 75 quid.
Okay.
And they sold out.
I'm not
How?
surprised that they sold out. Yeah, I mean, so it's been Star Citizen's Fleet Week, and I was reading on the Star Citizen Discord that there were people literally queuing up, waiting for RSI to release the next batch of however many $3,000 spaceships.
Oh my god.
And they were basically they were queuing up waiting for it and delighted when they got it.
Yeah, I mean, if they've got the money to spend in it, then who are we to stop them? And we can hardly shake a stick at them saying, "No, you're spending your money wrong."
Yeah, you're wasting your money on a product that's not finished.
Exactly.
Under there.
So I think we're going to take a short ad break, which will hopefully give me enough time to.
You've
wrap it
flown
away,
ships at max
which is
speed.
Oh, that was very quick.
I know.
Sorry, that's my
Yeah,
trigger
that is
finger
pretty-
going there.
Are we still in the ad break? All right.
No,
Are we still
we're not. We're not in it yet. You can introduce the ad break again.
Okay, take two. We're going to take a quick ad break, which will hopefully give me enough time to put the rabbit away, and which is not a euphemism, Ben. Just careful. And we'll be right back with some choice thoughts about how Odyssey is going.
This is a public service announcement from the Fuel Rats. Please stop what you're doing and pay attention. If we can rescue you, we will, but you can help us help you by following these easy steps. 1. Fly 50 light seconds or so from the system's main star and drop out of Supercruise. 2. Note down the current system and the nearest stellar body. 3. If you're on emergency life support, log out immediately. 4. Go to fuelrats.org and click Get Help. 5. Stay calm, hold your breath, and let our seasoned professionals do what they do best. The Fuel Rats. We have fuel, you don't. Any questions?
You've flown ships at max speed. You've felt the power of the 30 megawatt mining laser. You've experienced the efficiency of the MB4 mining machine.
Wow.
But it leaves every hardcore miner with just one question.
Why can't I get a shave that's that fast, close, and efficient?
Introducing the Saracen MB5 shaving drone.
It's so smooth.
Combining the power of a mining laser with the convenience of a drone.
It's like every hair is targeted by a fighter and destroyed.
Saracen's patented shaving drone attaches to your face at the start of the day. Leave it to do its work, and when you come back to check, your face is shaved.
He's so smooth.
It's like I'm mining my face.
The Saracen MB5 shaving drone.
Now I feel manly.
Saracen Shaving, making shaving an unnecessary adventure. Are you thinking of suing over missold Python protection insurance? Had an accident in an airlock or slipped in a space station cargo bay and thinking of suing for compensation? Well, don't.
I tried to take my ship commander to court for making fertiliser out of my crewmates. Legal fees have left me with nothing, and now I'm hungry. All the time.
At Watton Brittany, we take small print very seriously. We have a massive team of lawyers just waiting to block your case and ramp up your legal costs.
I wanted a simple, no-win, no-fee arrangement. My case got blown out of the water by Watt and Brittany, and now I have to rent out my arse for hydrogen fuel.
At Watt and Brittany, we have a saying: if you don't want a beating, stay out of our court.
I was savaged by a wild creature whilst fixing a vending machine. Can't I claim compensation?
No, you can't, because we have a massive team of lawyers and you're just someone who works for a living. Watt and Brittany. Don't even think about it.
He was a space pirate with quirky habits.
Hi. Most people find me quirky. I don't eat in front of people.
She was a busy space liner captain with no time for love.
I've got 50 passengers to take on a space whale watching tour. I don't have time for dating.
But when fate throws them together, the result is pretty inevitable.
You're like no man I've ever met. Forget my job, ship and crew. Where should we go for a date?
It better not be a restaurant.
From Singing and Dreams Entertainments comes a new total immersion experience.
It was incredible. I just put on the headset and it's like I was there, in the story.
Using Singing and Dreams' patented Dreamwear immersion headsets, you'll feel the love.
It were like I could feel everything that plucky ship captain were feeling.
You'll feel the passion.
Let's just say, when they got off, I got off.
You'll feel everything.
Did you enjoy your meal?
Oop. I don't think I should have had that raw seafood.
Signy and Dream Entertainments and Dreamwear headsets, bringing you closer to the adventure. Signy and Dream Entertainments is a division of Signy and Dream military educational software. Combat training software also available. Please be aware that improper use of the Dreamwear headset may lead to psychosis, time loss, memory impairment, and hallucination.
Well, welcome back, everybody. Now, obviously, with the usual Lave Radio sensitivity, we're going to go over what everybody's experiences and thoughts have been for Odyssey so far. Now, better brace yourselves because I think this one's going to be a fun one. What we'll do is I'll go around each of the crew and see what how they're finding the experience and what they think needs to be done. And so, if you don't mind, we will start with Ben. Going to put you on the spot here.
Yeah, that's fine. So, my Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, as I said earlier, were basically a collection of rainbow cobras. And when I could get in, I was running basically, various missions and settlements. And if I was getting 20 FPS, I consider myself lucky. And as I said to the guys several times, it's a bad sign when I am getting a more FPS playing Star Citizen than I am playing Elite Dangerous. And what's even more worrying, Star Citizen was being more stable. And Star Citizen's never more stable than Elite. And that was a bit of a downer, frankly, because I was wanting to do things. I did manage to find our station thanks to a certain Commander Corner. And I'll take this opportunity to say thank you very much to somebody of Norway. It's basically we've been moved into another human player factions area of space, and they very kindly allowed us to move in, and they know we're not going to sort of try and take over or do anything nasty to them. So they're basically running the broadcasting house for us, which is very neighbourly of them.
Yeah, that's quite nice of them.
Yeah, but I want to try and find here, do some missions. Then I wanted to get back over to Hutton space because the Hutton truckers are under attack, and I just couldn't stay in the game long enough to actually do anything.
Yeah.
And then I think on yesterday evening after work, I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to actually just take different kinds of missions to wrecks of things and so on. And all of a sudden, instead of getting 20 FPS, I was getting 50, 60 FPS. And it was just like, night and day. Now, obviously, I was out there in the middle of nowhere with a single crashed Sidewinder or a broken SRV or something like that, rather than a full settlement around me. So it's obviously whatever they're doing with the settlements that's killing us.
Yeah.
Rather than the whole planetary tech. But yeah, once I did that, and that was a lot of fun, and I did that for a few hours, and that was great fun. Yeah, I think that's been my direct experiences with it.
Okay, this is the first. I've got two questions which I'm going to be putting to everybody. Is if it wasn't for the FPS problems and the network connectivity, do you reckon Odyssey would have been good to go? Would you have considered it a proper release and not what people have considered a beta?
Okay, shall I resume with that question in mind then?
Yes.
Okay, so if I was getting 30 plus FPS and I wasn't getting disconnected, the game wouldn't be the game that I was hoping it was. Because as you all know, my goal is basically I want Grand Theft Auto in space. But it wouldn't have been... The issues with what content we have been overshadowed with the issues in performance.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough.
And I've just been given the proper name of the system that we're in as well. The guys who were in, it's the Patrons of Little Norway. So thank you very much, there, guys.
Yes, very, 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 very nice Norwegian people. I've not met a nasty Norwegian person yet, to be honest. So...
Yeah, that's fair enough. I have some, and I do love brunost as well. So yeah, and actually, generally, Norwegian breakfasts are generally just blooming delicious.
Okay. Right. Well, is there anything that you think that Frontier? Well, what would you like to see next from Frontier about this then?
I'm assuming we're not talking about bug fix. Are we talking features or bug fixes?
Yes, we're talking features and bug fixes.
Okay, so for Odyssey, big patch 1, shall we say? I don't think we'll get it, but I'm still desperately hoping for some kind of ship interior. I've got a bad feeling that might even be its own patch if we ever get it.
I think that's its own expansion, to be honest. But
yeah, that's what I mean. Its own expansion.
Yeah.
But I don't know why it should be so, frankly, because the game. There's a lot of potential gameplay in there. I'd like to see them expand where we can walk around and do things. And I don't just mean another settlement type. I mean, I want to visit my bedroom in Lave Station. I want a
So
bunch
who would you
of
have in your
social
bedroom
things.
in Lave Station?
A listener, obviously.
Uh-oh. This is a worrying thread of conversation, Shan. Shouldn't have opened that box.
Yeah. Now, the whole reason why I want...
Oh, just.
The whole reason why I want this, though, is because you know that people will spend a fortune decorating their ships in their bedrooms.
True. Very true.
And I mean, the gameplay involved, if we had FPS on ships, would be amazing. There is so much potential that would bring. But I want social interactions. I want to be able to wave at people. I want my /dance command back. I want a mailbox on which I can dance.
Right. Those are very, very good suggestions. Right then. Hesitantly. Brace yourselves, everybody. It's Shan's turn.
Why are you
We do have a
saying it
cycle
like
if you
that?
don't want to be scared.
No. I just want to predicate what I said because I took some time out of Odyssey to get my thoughts straight and my feelings straight around it because when it was first launched, I was so upset. I I was actually struggling not to put angry words down and frustrated words down. So I thought, no, I'll take a step back and I'll try and look at things in a more rational manner. And as I said at the start of the show, anything I say is not aimed at the individual developers because I've met most of them. They're great, amazing, hardworking guys. If history says that this is a failure, then the failure is of senior management at Frontier because David Braben only pops up to say a few sorries and stuff like that. It's he either didn't have his finger on the pulse of Odyssey development, or he deliberately said go when it clearly was not ready to go. And everyone who commented on the forums has said when they saw the release date, please do not release this. It will be another Cyberpunk. And they just have not learned from the industry. They just have not learned from all the other people that does it. And I'm asking myself, who is the bigger sucker? Is it the bigger sucker that us lot who pay money for games when this behavior happens, or is it the shareholders that continue to invest money in companies that do this? Okay, that's the strong stuff out of the way.
Right. Well, can I just
Hang on.
point out? Oh, hang on. No, I just wanted to point out the shareholders are doing all right. So guess who's the sucker?
Yeah, well, it was a rhetorical question. Anyway, and going on to more specific things, there's a different, and I'm not talking about performance issues or stuff that I believe is easily fixed, like performance issues and crashes, because they are small fry in what I consider to be the flaws in Odyssey. So I've got a list here, and sorry if it just goes on a bit, but I had to write notes. The difference between a meh game and a WoW game, I don't mean World of Warcraft, but WoW, is attention to detail. So, for example, if you were out in the black, if you had a year's expedition and you're 30,000 light years away from the nearest anything, you do not have a Dyson multi-tool in your ship as default. So it doesn't matter if you see some amazing blooming space flower that no one has found. You cannot scan it because they didn't think about explorers out in the black might want to do that. If your SRB is destroyed while you're in it, your ship doesn't appear. You don't appear back in your ship as you used to. Your ship is now in orbit, so you then have to go back and do all that. The engineer grind, and I saw some numbers of that. It's absolutely horrendous unless you glitch it by logging in, logging out at sites and keep stealing the stuff again and again and again. Unless you cheese it, the engineer grind is horrendous. In the UI, which we talked about, there's just a lack of detail. You have no idea what stuff does. Even in the outfitting stuff, you've got no idea what effect your mods are having to the ship. It's impossible to build and min-max the ship or anything because we're not given the details. And in spite of my rant earlier, Elite 5 stars, oh my God, you just killed 37 years of lore. Sorry, you're adding repetitive, adding nothing gameplay for the sake of it. And that, yeah. And as Ben said, there's just a single room in every station. There's no role play. There's no interaction. There's no cardboard box for us to get on board and add our own content inside the station because all you get is a single room you can't even buy a damn drink at. You know, it's really frustrating. Sorry. And also, the broken promises about spaceship interiors and the whole David Braben video that was coming on Kickstarter. Where is that? Is that coming? We don't know. The crime and punishment system. Oh my goodness me. It's just everything is either the whole base is on it, you're dead, you are seen stealing stuff, even if there's no one in the room, you're instantly found guilty. It's just the map. You can't do neutron jumps. And also if you try and map your jump and use target another stellar body, sorry, in that system, it loses your route. that should have been play tested. They had to have spotted this. I'm sorry, but there's just no excuse. And there comes a time, and the biology scanning game. If you look from outside and you're scanning an item, it looks like you're taking a whittle up a tree. It's just for goodness sake. And there comes a time when having a minimum viable product ends up not being a viable product, and I think we just hit it. And overall, the strategy that they've had has just been horrible. They just have not communicated or set expectations or anything. It's just, seriously, if I was in charge, I would be saying, okay, who do I sack? It is that bad. It is catastrophically bad communications, because a lot of what we're seeing with pushback is about lack of setting expectations, lack of clarity. We weren't promised a roadmap until everything's turned to poo, and it's like we had to twist our arms into doing a roadmap. Proper communication strategy, proper communications, and proper expectation setting. It's business 101, and I'm sorry it failed.
Right. Okay. Ben, you had something to say about Explorers and Dysons?
Okay, yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I've got something on that.
I understand your point, Shan, but frankly, if you're an explorer 30 million light years away and you didn't realize Odyssey was coming up, what bloody rock were you under? You knew this was happening. You had no excuse. If you wanted to play with your Dyson, you had ample opportunity to get back to the bubble, or even back to Sagittarius, A-Star, or Colonia.
The thing is, though, when
So-
Horizons launched, they equipped every single ship with a atmospheric module,
Yeah,
mysteriously.
because it needed that in order to land on the planet.
Well, you need that in order to, yeah. I mean, and also people have been playing the game. Some
What, so
people
you're
have
going
been
to give
having the
everybody a free suit? Everyone 3 free suits, in
No,
fact.
no, the whole suit design is flawed in my point of view. The whole point of you can only have
Oh,
this
I
suit
will agree
to
with
use
that.
this tool.
Agreed. I think we should have, it breaks the whole modularity of every other part of the game. It's like, why the hell can't we just buy a scanner or buy a arc cutter? Why is it attached to the suit? I have no idea, but that's another thing for another time, maybe.
Yep. Because we know that there are certain things that they ain't going to change, and the suit layout is going to be one of them. That's one of the problems. So, are you feeling better now that you've?
I've got one more while I had a breath.
Okay,
Sorry.
one more.
Just in my experience, the gameplay does not motivate me to do better or get better. It's just more of the same ad infinitum, and I'm quite sad about that, really, because I expected and wanted more from the people I met and talked to. And to be fair, from David Braidman, who not only has been part of the industry for 30 plus years, he's a godfather of the industry, and I expected better from him and his company.
So let's just say that has this actually broken Elite for you?
I don't know. I'm struggling with that one, to be fair, Colin. I think I just have to kind of get over myself. I don't know.
I've been saying that about you for years.
No.
Sorry,
I'm not being
Sorry.
facetious, Ben. I'm trying to be serious here.
I know you are.
And
I know.
I mean, as we said when we said what does Elite mean to you ages ago, I fell in love with this game in 1984, and it's been a part of my childhood, it's part of my growing up, and it's been part of my adult life. And you know, in your mind, when you played Elite back in 1984, or even first encounters and things like that, you had an image of what you wanted Elite to be, and it just feels like, at least at the moment, that is starting to deflate.
Right. Okay, so this is not what. I mean, I've always had the impression you didn't want Odyssey anyway, Shan.
I wanted the Odyssey vision that was portrayed in the David Braidman Kickstarter videos.
But that was included walking around in ships.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
But that alone wouldn't fix it, because my my how many point list I made, walking around in ships and doing what I promised was only part of it. And as I say, I'm looking down that list and I'm thinking that is not easily fixable stuff.
No,
And
it's
it's
not. Have I
so I
lost you,
don't know.
John?
I'm thinking, looking at it, and so I had to take time away to rationally think about what it was that I had issues about. And some of you may be fine about this stuff. I mean, you talk about Stroud, a load of rubbish. I couldn't stop making a fuss. But for me, it's just a huge, huge letdown. And to be fair, what should they do about it? Because you asked, should they release it? No, they shouldn't. They should do a No Man's Sky. They should issue a proper apology, and they should say we are going to redesign this from the ground up because it clearly does not meet the expectations and love our players have put into the game. I think they should, in their roadmap should not just be a roadmap for fixing it. It should be, how are you going to address issues like I listed?
Right. Well, basically, in your opinion, Odyssey is completely crap and should be rewritten.
I didn't say completely. I mean, I've had good moments in it, but it's just overall. I mean, someone said to me, "Oh, so you think Odyssey is undercooked?" And I said, "It's not just undercooked. Cooked. It's a turkey on Christmas Eve that's still in the freezer."
And
It's
we
in
have
the
it.
freezer as opposed to being, running around the farm.
Yeah, I was gonna ask the question about whether or not that if it wasn't for the connectivity issues or the or the FPS issues there, but I don't think I even need to, because most of the issues that you've raised there are fundamental design decisions about how Odyssey has been created.
And that's what I meant earlier by said they carefully catalogued all the player feedback and everything else like that over all the years, put it in a nice and neat folder and a list, and then burnt it because the design has been factored around Twitch shooting FPS, and it just hasn't got that. It hasn't got that. Well, that's just my view of it, and it's like all the suggestions, all the things people put in place. We want to see this, the infamous list. Virtually none of that has come into fruition. So yes, it is a design decision. It's for me. It's fundamentally designed not to my taste.
Right. Okay. Well, we're going to have to leave that one there and move on to Psychit. How have you managed it for the last? If you can follow that.
Oh my gosh. When did Odyssey come out? When was it?
It feels a lot
Wednesday,
longer.
wasn't it? It was Wednesday. It's not even been a week yet. Just to put that into just sort of my perspective. I struggled. Of course I did. I don't know anybody who hasn't gone, oh cry, this isn't good. This is a bit of a struggle. There's a lot of UI that I really, really dislike. A lot of UI that I really, really dislike. The straw for me that made me go, okay, I can't just stream Elite anymore. I was already thinking I wasn't just streaming Elite anymore, but the thing that was like, okay, yeah, no, not gonna do that. I'm gonna look at other options and things like that was just quite seeing my home system having two separate ticks, because there's a tick that happens in Odyssey and then a tick that happens in on the Horizon side, and I know like not a lot of people would really like notice that or pay a lot of, or even see that, but people have been logging into Odyssey and seeing wars in different states or like having different wins to then logging into Horizons and seeing it differently. And yes, I was expecting the BGS to be absolutely buggered for the first week. Yes, I absolutely was. But the BGS is the bit that I fell in love with. So the fact that the ticks would just happening at different times was kind of like, okay, well, F this, I'm out for a little bit. and I'm gonna like calm myself, get into a better headspace around Elite. And then I was getting 9 frames per second on Friday night, and I was just like, why?
No.
How am I supposed to how am I supposed to portray this in any form of decent light with other people that I'm with? And so how am I supposed to be like championing words this game? And I was tired on Friday as well, and everything just got a little bit too much for me, and I was just like, it's really hurting. But then speaking to other people, and then also speaking to Arf, and seeing how Arthur felt. It was palpable on Saturday that he was really, really gutted that all of this was happening and that kind of thing. Put it a little bit more into perspective for me, that I'm still with everything that's currently happening with the UI, with the fixes that are coming in, and with all of the with the patch that's coming in on Thursday. I am still confident that we are going to get to a better position. Yes, it may not be exactly what every Tom, Dick, and Harry wants. It may not be exactly the Odyssey that everybody wanted, or that Braben even was talking about in the Kickstarter, but it will be more of a game than it currently is. Yeah, I think that's where I would probably leave it.
So let's be honest. Out of the three of you, not one of you have really had a positive experience with Odyssey.
I mean, I've watched people have excellent times with exploration, and I must admit, before we came here, before reason I was late, there was some lovely times. I thought I was going to hate scanning the plan and stuff, and I really enjoyed doing what I've just done, you know. And that was like in my home system, and I was enjoying it, and it was a bit of a laugh, and it was a bit of fun. We struggled to get instance, but you know, that's Elite 101, is you're going to struggle to get instance. But again, why are we making those excuses still?
Yes, that is the issue. Right. Well, I guess I get my turn. Unfortunately, like I said, I'm in a little bit of a different boat because my experience has been mostly positive. I've had only about 5 disconnects. I've had very little FPS loss, and like Psyche, I actually took my commander out into the black for the first time in absolutely ages, and found myself really enjoying exploring again, which I didn't think I'd do because I got so bored of it last time. The new logging of the biologicals and finding the planetary stuff, I thoroughly enjoyed, and the fact that the new planetary finding new ways to find the planetary points of interest. Even though I was talking to Fiery Toad earlier on this, there does seem to be a bug there where you'll have very busy planets when you're thousands and thousands of light years out of the bubble. That doesn't feel right. But apart from that, I found it a very, very uplifting experience because some of the planets that I came across, they were beautiful. I mean, I've seen reports about people complaining about the planetary tech and some of the way the new terrain is generated. But as far as I'm concerned, my experience was when I was out there, yeah, it didn't bother me, and yeah, the vistas were absolutely stunning. I was basically watching sunrises and sunsets, which I think we can all agree is probably the best part, where you can get the best views. Um, and basically the way the engine rendered it, it looked fantastic. I mean, I'm not going to say that I found it completely perfect. The Galaxy map, okay, I'm fine with it, but it does need a lot of the functionality that's been lost from the previous version put back in. System map, I actually do like that one. It's got more. I find I can get to the information that I need quicker than the old system map. I think it's just getting used to it. However, I hated the outfitting screens. I absolutely despise them. That UI does nothing but confuse the life out of me and just. I, I think I sold by accident 2-beam lasers I didn't want to, and it's a good job there's a buyback option because I don't want to lose my I don't want to lose my engineered beam lasers to one bad click. But yeah, apart from that, I've done missions. I didn't have any FPS slowdown. I haven't done any of the on-foot combat zones though, so I've got to give that a try and see whether or not my car can hold up. But in general, because of what I've been doing, I've enjoyed it, and yeah, it's a little bit. I can understand how some people are upset because obviously they're not getting the performance, they're not staying connected. But that's not been my experience on this one, which is obviously in contrast with everybody else. So, I finished.
Yeah, I just want to sort of in response to what you said, Colin, and so don't get me wrong, but there have been moments I thought, yeah, this is really cool. Particularly, say I've got my commander who's 30 odd thousand light years away on the way to Beagle Point, and I've done some planetary exploration on it. And you're right, some of the planet tech and some of the views and stuff like that has been really, really amazing. And so it's not all negative from me. So please don't take the wrong thing. The other I wouldn't like listeners to take the wrong thing is me saying because they didn't do what I wanted, I hate it. That's kind of not what I'm hoping is coming across. I gave a list of observations. Now, some of them, yes, a personal opinion, um, like the engineer grind or whatever. So yeah, some of it is personal, but some of them are just real. Why didn't they play the game and notice this? Like Psychic said about the BGS and stuff like that. It's just attention to detail that they wasn't in the game, and I think that's the most frustrating thing. And attention to detail isn't always subjective; it's objective as well. And yeah, I just don't want people saying, "Oh, Jan's full of
Okay,
strop. She didn't get what he wants."
Shan, we are beginning to run out of time, and I'm afraid to say
Sorry.
you've been over
Yeah,
this
that's all
point
right. Fair enough.
before.
Fair enough.
Ben, do you want to quickly give some comments that we've seen in Twitch, and then we are actually going. I've just seen the time. We're going to have to wrap up quite quickly.
Yep. Okay, so Kaizen from Elite Week saying, other than the frame rates, server stability, and UIs, the bug planet tech, instancing issues, missing functionality on the maps, broken loops, missions to nowhere, inability to share team missions fleshed out loops for exploration, biology, scavenging, salvage, ship interiors, missing fleet carrier interiors, and the fade to black in the blue circle in the blue circle ship, I think Odyssey is semi-okay.
That's what have the Romans ever done for us, really?
I would agree with that.
The Armstrong blue circle.
Yes. I mean, yeah, that. Oh, I'm not. Don't get me started. Don't. No. I think Jonathan Teen Time actually has a very valid point, responding to you, I guess, Shan, which was if you run a PLC, you cannot go back on commitments that you've made to the stock markets. Happy customers and quality are nice to have, outside of maybe safety issues in the auto market. So yeah, I think that's true because if you promise we will release Odyssey Q3 or sorry Q1 2021, you can't suddenly go off and say, you know what, actually, guys, it's
Can I
going to be
just
this.
respond to? Can I just respond to that thought? is...
Well, you'll have to be quick.
I will be quick.
In
As
5 words or less.
I can't do it in 5 words. As part of my real job, I make sure stuff that the company I work for doesn't completely turn to poo. And that view of the stockholders have to be happy regardless is short-sighted, because a screw-up can cause immense reputational and financial damage, and the said customers won't ever touch any of your products ever again. So while the investors may be initially happy, long term they'll sell, and the investors don't care anyway because they'll just buy Tesla stock.
It's the legal
Right.
folk.
Okay. Well, I'm afraid to
Yeah.
say we're going to have to draw a line under the Odyssey response. This person here is probably hoping that the new patch that comes out sorts out a lot of the performance issues, but we'll just have to wait and see. And it is going to be a case of, I think, wait and see how Odyssey is in a month, at least.
At least
So
it'll give us something to talk about for the next X amount of shows, Colin.
yeah, as long as we don't go round in circles again and again and again. So quickly, we will touch on the community corner. So obviously, Psykit, you are doing a raising money for CLIC Sergeant on behalf of member Collier Jack.
Mm-hmm.
You want to quickly touch on that?
Cancer really sucks. It's
I don't mean
shit.
to laugh at cancer.
No, I mean it's horrible. And Click Sergeant do a shit ton of work helping people in the UK who have children who are going through a terrible situation. They do their best to ease that burden and help the families. They help the children. They help everyone. It is an absolutely beautiful charity that I didn't know enough about until I started researching them. It is just a wonderful thing to be raising money for. We are doing a shed load of giveaways on Friday. Frontier have given me giveaways. We have stuff from Beetlejuice as well, and HCS gift cards as well that we are giving away on Friday. 12-hour stream. We've also got some front page time. Please come along on Friday, but if you want to donate before, the link is in chat. Please consider doing so.
Right, we will certainly, obviously, publish that link in the show notes.
Yes.
Now, unfortunately, we have run out of time, so unfortunately, I will not be able to mention the notable Stellar Phenomena, which is a Elite Dangerous animated parody. Obviously, the Odyssey renderer, which was the post on Reddit about the graphics engineer who spotted a couple of issues. We'll have to come back to that at a later point. And both Hawks Gaming and Down to Earth Astronomy have done how to farm everything materials guides on their YouTube channels, which again we'll have to come back to another time. So I'm afraid to say it's straight on to our shout out. So first of all, say hello to our sister station, Hutton Orbital Radio. They broadcast on a Thursday at 8:30. You can tune in at twitch.tv Hutton Orbital Truckers, or if you just want the audio, go to radio.forthemug.com. Also, they're in a war at Alpha Centauri, so please go defend the mug. For the discerning commander that likes a bit of CQC action, check out the CQC Discord at discord.me/Elite Dangerous CQC. We're giving shout outs to the following Elite Dangerous podcasts. So, hi to Loose Screws, Elite Week, Flight Assist, Elite Cast for the Spanish speakers, the Canon Podcast, Fatherhood Podcast, Squeaking Fuel, System Chat, The Guard Frequency, and Allegrab AM. For those of you that want a literary discussion about science fiction and fantasy books, please subscribe to the Data Slate podcast that's created by Station Commander Alan Stroud. Following this, we have the latest Galnet News Digest that's provided by Commander Witherspoon and Commander Beetlejude. And we'd like to thank everybody who's chipped in at the Twitch chat and any in-game commanders that have joined Ben at Lave Radio Broadcasting House. We'll also say special thanks to Commander Tokoso, who has created the music for the introduction of the show. So that's it for another episode of Lave Radio. If you'd like to get in touch with the show, you can email info@laveradio.com. Hit us up at facebook.com. Tweet us at laveradio.com. You can join our Discord server by going to discord.io/laveradio. We also have a TeamSpeak server where commanders come to hang out and chat, which you can find at teamspeak.laveradio.com. Do get in touch if you have any questions or if there's anything you'd like us to discuss in a future episode.
I've got a question.
And what have I said about when I'm doing the roundup?
Well, it's more Ben, really. He's repeated competition.
Ben, go on.
That was a not so subtle hint to remind you, Colin, that we posted the competition last week. And I was going to, I was at least say, we haven't drawn the competition yet. We will draw it between this week and next week, and we will get back to people.
Excellent. Glad you're there. Right. So, Lave Radio is recorded live on a Tuesday evening at 8:30 and streamed out at laveradio.com/live. So thanks to Ben, thanks to Shan, thanks to Psychit, and special thanks to today's tech specialist, the Chris Mark IV. And until next time, commanders, fly safe, and if you can't do that, fly dangerous.
Is your life like this?
Sounds like someone having an orange inserted. Need a safe word. Space can be loaded.
I'm gonna see the galaxy.
Ah, damn it. No worries, guys. Hold the fort for 2 seconds. I'll be right back.
Galnet News Digest, 25th of May 3307. We read the news, so you don't have to.
In this week's news, Oracle starport stabilised.
Apex criticised over a no cancellation rule.
Fleet carriers restored to service.
The invisible SRV.
Beige PM on track to expand. Engineers working for Sirius Incorporated say they have restored the Oracle starport in the Delphi system to a stable orbit. The starport started drifting after its alignment thrusters were damaged last week, and it was feared that it might rapidly deorbit given the rough terrain of Moon Delphi 5A and its consequently irregular gravitational pull. Evacuating a damaged station typically takes around a week, so there was no realistic hope of rescuing all inhabitants within the estimated 8-hour window. The irregular motion of the station made docking difficult, and this further limited the efficiency of the evacuation effort. It is thanks to the cool heads and analytical minds of Sirius employees that the starport is still in orbit. With the damaged thrusters back online, Sirius claims that the orbit is stable and that further work is being undertaken to ensure this failure cannot happen again. There are unconfirmed reports that one or more of the other Thargoid-damaged stations may have had alignment thrusters similarly affected, but there are no reports of any stations actually crashing out of orbit. It appears that the Thargoids may have developed a more powerful form of attack, and the stations may in future not just be damaged by Thargoid attack, but they may be destroyed entirely.
Commanders have hit out at taxi company Apex Interstellar after getting stranded by its no cancellation policy. There are settlements in what might be considered by some to be impossible places in the galaxy. Places where gravity is too high for anyone to live there, or temperatures too hot to get from the landing pad to the presumably air-conditioned interior. If commanders with their own spaceship take a mission to one of these settlements, set down on the landing pad, and then get told it's unsafe to disembark, then it's no big deal really. They may not be able to complete the impossible mission, but that's not the end of the world. However, if you take an Apex Interstellar taxi to one of these settlements, you get caught by a double bind. You can't disembark from the taxi because it's either too hot, the gravity's too high, or possibly both. But you can't tell the taxi driver to fly you back to the starport, because Apex Interstellar operates a strict no-returns rule. You're stuck there, in your passenger chair, in the case of a high-gravity world, quite literally stuck there, unable to get out, and unable to take off. With infinite patience, the Apex Interstellar cabbie will wait for you to get off, and when you don't, they'll wait some more. Because the taxi's landed, you can't get a friend to blow you up. You just have to sit there. Forever. Why are Apex taxi drivers so stubborn? Why won't they take you back where you came from? Is it some sort of protest about the low charge they're allowed to make for each journey? Whatever the cause, Apex seems guilty of giving its customers a very poor experience. There is, however, apparently a solution. Using telepresence, and while you're still sitting in your taxi at the unsurvivable destination, persuade a friend to invite you to multi-crew with them, and then persuade your friend to self-destruct their ship. You are only a hologram in their ship, but by some magic, when your hologram dies, you will not get transported back to your patiently waiting Apex taxi, but to the last ship you flew. The Apex taxi becomes an unpleasant memory, and you are once again free to roam the galaxy.
Following the emergency halting of all fleet carrier movements last week, the Pilots Federation has cautiously but irreversibly permitted the carriers to resume operations. The halt was called because there were concerns about the fabric of space-time being ripped apart and the reality of the galaxy becoming unstable as these starport-sized megaships zipped back and forth between systems. The Pilots Federation hired safety consultant Brewer Safeways, a wholly owned but entirely independent subsidiary of Brewer Corporation, to assess the risk to the galaxy and to reality in general, and was delighted when it was told that carriers are actually improving the integrity of space-time, and that punching all those holes actually makes space-time lighter and stronger, and there is a vanishingly small risk of the total collapse of the galaxy, and an even smaller risk of an invasion of creatures from another dimension, other than Thargoids, and they're here already. And in other good news, the unexpected increase in fleet carrier maintenance charges last week turned out to be an accounting error, whereby owners were charged for nearly 2 weeks' maintenance. Brewer Corporation, which runs fleet carrier sales and maintenance, has apologised to its customers for the unfortunate error.
Commanders have been getting used to seeing taupe cobras attacking from all sides, as the galaxy once again gets used to the impact of fleet carriers rending holes in reality. But taupe is such a boring colour. Couldn't we have something prettier? Well, the good news is that the Galaxy has been to the cosmetics shop and spent some marks on some paint jobs. Over the weekend, the Cobra of Doom was sporting a rather fetching blue paint job, and there's some evidence the Galaxy may have been claiming Twitch drops, with the ever-present possibility of a purple python. Commanders too have been granted access to a very special paint job. The invisible SRV is quite the fashion. Looking perfectly normal to the commander, it is entirely undetectable to teammates and enemy, allowing for stealth attacks with the enemy entirely unable to shoot back. Getting into an invisible SRV does look a bit strange though. On the subject of blue, the Pilots Federation decided not to issue the version of the detailed surface scanner that it tried out in the Galaxy simulation. That version, that displayed a multicoloured heat map, was considered too confusing, after the Pilots Federation failed to issue any instructions on how to use it or what the colours meant. They have instead issued a revised version of the detailed surface scanner that shows only blue, thus causing further confusion among commanders who were expecting to see yellow, green and red as well. But at least now the Dyson scanner is completely automated. Just click and hold and the scanner does all the work.
Alliance Prime Minister Edmund Mahon appears to be on track not only to win a new term in office, but also to have a mandate to continue the expansionist policies for which he has become renowned. His proposal is substantially ahead in the popular mandate, and it seems all but certain that when he wins his new 6-year term in office, the first Prime Minister ever to serve more than a single term, Mahon will sponsor a tritium mining initiative which will in turn allow a rash of new Alliance starports to be installed across the inhabited bubble. Mahon's rival, Councillor Nakato Kane, stands little chance of winning, and her proposal to mine void opals and fund the production of more rare goods throughout Alliance space seems dead in the water. The Prime Ministerial election will be held on Thursday, delayed from its original date in February, to allow the Alliance to participate in the Galactic Summit.
And that's this week's Galnet News. Galnet News, we read the news so you don't have to.
Creatures from another dimension, from another dimension, from another dimension, from another dimension.